ragtime. Oh, do me right guitar. Don't sound half bad, better do it again.
Blog Talk Radio. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Gypsy Poet Radio here on blogtalkradio.com/Gypsy Poet. I am the Gypsy Poet, and, of course, with me is the fabulous, mysterious, and magical Girl George. Say it with me, people, please. Say it with me. Girl George, Girl George, Girl George, Girl George. Oh, my God, it's Girl George. And what a guest she's got for us this afternoon. She's got with us the fabulous singer, songwriter, and blues Hall of Famer, and let's not forget my personal favorite piece of information and influence of Jerry Garcia of the Grateful Dead, the one, the only Michael Wilhelm. Is everybody with me?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, I'm here too.
Michael? Oh, wonderful.
Hi, Michael. How are you doing?
Oh, pretty good. It's a long time since I've talked to you. It's been, geez,
a year.
Years,
I seen you in Sausalito, remember?
Yeah, right. And
before that, it was like 15 years.
Up here in Lake County.
Yeah, that was like in 1995 when I first came back from L.A. I've known you since about 1966 when you were with the Charlatans and playing at that place with the swing. What was that place with the swing?
Oh, the Roaring Twenties.
Yeah, the Roaring Twenties.
Barney's Roaring Twenties, the old converted firehouse.
Yeah, that was a real cool place. And then in 73, when I came back from Nashville, off the road with Dr. Hook, I was running the coffee hour, and you were there all the time. So you started playing with me because you played with everyone. And then the Tattoo Ball, we played together, and we did the Columbus Day Parade. We were in the Columbus Day Parade.
Yeah,
you were on my TV show a few times. So you've been throughout my life. Yeah. Everybody on this show talks about you now. You know, everyone talks about you. Zero and who else? Peter Case, Hideous Creature. You're their hero. You know that?
Yeah, Peter. I met him. He was busking there in North Beach, and I was walking down Grand Avenue up. You know, I was almost to the saloon, and he was down there at Broadway and Columbus, the bank corner there. Remember the entrance to that bank on the corner? I guess that would be the southeast corner. And I could hear him singing all the way up there, you know, where I was. So, you know, I went down there, and when I heard his voice, I went, hey, man, it's Elvis, you know. A golden voice, anyway.
Well, even Jerry Garcia, and I think the Rolling Stones said when they asked him who his favorite guitar player was, they said it was Mike Wilhelm. So everyone,
without hesitation,
everyone thinks you're the greatest guitar player in the world, including me.
Yeah.
Well, that was neat. I didn't hear about that till years later. I was talking with Herb Green, and he said, "Oh yeah, he had asked Jerry that and question, and got that answer." That was.
Well, George Thorogood used to follow you around and steal all your licks too. All the little guitar players just follow Michael around and steal his licks because he knew every lick there ever was. He played like 24 hours a day, on stage, off stage. He played all the time. I don't know how you did it.
Oh.
Well, I
did see where you're getting that from. I was going to say, I actually know where, I understand where George is coming from when she says that, because I can actually, I hear the riff of Bad to the Bone. I think that was probably Mike that started that one. So I couldn't help but say that. Anyways, I'm sorry.
Oh, Michael, did you ever get in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
Yes.
No, but the Charlatans actually played there, though.
Yes.
Don't they have some kind of exhibit?
1997, we got invited. In 1997, we got invited to play at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, which we did. And,
don't they have some kind of exhibit about the Charlatans there?
Yeah, there's some of our clothing and stuff there. on exhibit. So
well, that's close enough.
yeah, right next to John Cipollina's amplifiers and guitars.
Yeah, you got the San Francisco Blues Hall of Fame, right, as a guitar player?
Oh yeah, it's the Blues Hall of Fame. Yeah, I got inducted as a great blues musician from San Francisco. So that was.
That you are. You were with the Charlatans. For people that don't know who the Charlatans are, we should tell them the Charlatans were the group that started the whole San Francisco music scene in the 60s. The whole Haight-Ashbury started with the Charlatans, which you were the guitar player with. Now, how did you get together with George? Where did you meet, and how did you get together?
I met George in high school. We went to high school together, California.
In L.A., right?
Yeah, actually in Canoga Park High School, which is out in the valley, San Fernando Valley. And,
so you started playing there?
I started playing guitar in my senior year, but I'd always had it in the back of my mind to learn guitar. I mean, since I was a little kid, so. And I finally got it together to buy a guitar. I tried to talk my parents into it, and they went, no, you'll lose interest, just like you did with the piano lessons. And I pointed out to them that, the piano lessons were their idea, not mine,
So how did you start the band?
Save up my pennies and nickels until I finally bought a guitar. By which time I'd been playing air guitar for so long, I already had my right hands together. So it took me about a week and a lot of blisters and bloody fingers, but I could play the guitar solo from Buddy Holly's Peggy Sue. So
awesome.
The first thing I learned.
So what was your first band? The Charlatans wasn't your first band?
After I got out of the Navy, I came up to the Bay Area, and I knew some people in Berkeley that I had met hitchhiking, and so I hooked up with them, and I met some college students, and they were starting a band to play at this local fraternity hangout called the Monkey Inn. And that building is now the La Peña Cultural Center.
Oh, that's right next to the Starry Plow.
What?
That's next door to the Starry Plow.
Yeah, I guess. It's right. It's on.
I worked at Starry Plow for 8 years. I know. Yeah. Go ahead.
I can't remember now, but anyway. So we were playing instrumental surf music and stuff, and that's how I got into electric guitar. I'd been pretty much an acoustic musician up to then, but anyway, I'd always listened to surf music, being from Southern California, so that's how I started playing electric guitar. So the group was called Danny Clapp and the Bangers, and we played a lot of frat parties and stuff. And that was that 1963 era, which was when I saw the movie Animal House, and I saw the party they had at the frat house. I went, "Oh, I've been there." We used to party. Basement.
So how did you get together with George and get the Charlatans together?
Well, what happened was I was over in San Francisco, and I ran into George on the street. And he says, "Oh, hey, I've been wondering where you were, and blah blah blah, and I want to start a band." And I told him that I was in a band, and he went, "Oh, that's great, So he hands me he tears off a corner out of his checkbook that's got his address on it, So I go over there a couple of weeks later, and I'm knocking on the door, and somebody in the other flat says, "Oh, he moved, And so I went, "Oh no, he's gone." So I called the phone number that was on there, just as just in case it might be still good, and it was. And so I I hooked up with George. And that's when he had moved up to the famous flat on Upper Downey Street, 200 Downey.
That's the one that he had decorated like it was in the 20s. He had an old-fashioned stove, and everything looked like it was in the 20s.
Oh, yeah, we did that stuff. You know, you could just buy that thing. I remember I furnished this one flat that I had over in Japantown on Bush Street. And I went into a second-hand store on McAllister Street, and there was this old General Electric refrigerator, similar to what George had in his house. And it's one of the old ones it's up on legs, it's a big box on legs, and on top, motor sits on top with the condenser coils wrapped around the motor. So I asked the guy at the junk store, I said, well, what do you want for this? He said, 20. And I said, how much to deliver it? He said, 25 delivered. So he brought it over, and I plugged it in. Of course, it worked fine. And I was looking at the motor and the works on it, and it had a little wire seal with a, lead thing that was impressed with, the GE logo. And I realized the thing had never been repaired. It was still original. Still worked after all those years. So,
and you guys dressed so snazzy with the hats and the vests and all kinds of outfits.
A lot of Victorian and some Edwardian clothing, but mostly Victorian stuff that was the era we picked. And I got a coat I still have, which is a Prince Albert coat, one of those bankers' frock coats, big long coat. And I got it in the thrift store for $15. You could find stuff like that in the thrift store back then.
Yeah. Okay, so how did you get together with George and start playing with the Charlatans?
Well, so I started hanging out at George's.
George is crazy.
Well, summer had come up, and there wasn't much going on at the frat party scene, and I wanted to get out of the East Bay anyway. I didn't like it over there. So I kind of started staying at George's house, and he introduced me to Richie, who he knew from his girlfriend Lucy was going to San Francisco State, and he was into dance and stuff, and they were putting on these happenings and stuff over there, and Richard was one of her dancers, and he was a music student there. And so I showed him how to hold an electric bass and, how to tune it and play it, and so he just took it from there and taught himself bass. And George picked up an auto harp, and we put pickups on it. He had this guy, Mike Ferguson, who was also kind of instrumental in our look, and he had probably the first head shop I'd ever seen. They didn't even have that term then, but he had this place called the Magic Theater for Madmen Only. And he had all these made, pipes and things like that, smoking pipes, and
was that on
a
the
lot of other stuff, just antique knickknacks and all that stuff in there.
Was it on?
But anyways, he played piano and kind of fooled around on drums and stuff. So he came in and he was the piano player, and then we had a fellow named Sam Lindy playing drums at first, but he wasn't cutting it. And my girlfriend at the time, she said, "Well, I know this guy." Dan Hicks up in Santa Rosa, and so he was going to school at State, also studying radio and television. So she brought him over, and he could play the drums real well, so he came in as drummer. And so that was how the Charlatans formed.
So how did you end up in Virginia City at the Red Dog?
Well, we had been rehearsing for a while, and all through 1964, we'd been playing in George's front parlor there on Downey Street, and there wasn't any place for a band like us to play. There was like, the topless joints, and they had top 40 and, R&B bands with horns and all that stuff. And so there wasn't a place, if you're doing originals or, totally off the wall stuff, you weren't going to get hired by any places around there. So Richard and I were walking down Grand Avenue, probably right next to the Coffee Gallery, right in front of like Coffee Gallery, Coffee and Confusion, those places. Walking down the street, and Chandler Laughlin, later known as Travis T. Hip, he pulls over in his car and he says, "Hey, are you guys the Birds?" He was looking for. We went, "No, we're the Charlatans." He says, "Oh, you're a band." Oh, yeah, we're. So we took him over to meet George, and George gave him some kind of tape we had cobbled together, had a couple of songs on it, and pretty soon we hear from them, and they send us money to get up there, and so and they were supposed to. So right away, George and Mike Ferguson, they got together and started working on a poster, and they came up with the first version of the Seed poster. And
so that's like the first psychedelic poster, right?
It was supposed to be June 15th or something, I think, the opening date. And we got up there, and they weren't ready to open yet. They still had a lot of work to do on the place. So we hung around there while they finished it up, and they redid the poster, so it said July 21st on it. And so we wound up playing there, and a lot of people came up from the Bay Area and stuff to hear us. And then there was people from Taos, New Mexico, and Santa Fe that came through there, and a bunch of the local hippies and stuff. So it turned out to be a really neat thing. We were the only, it was the only joint in the whole town that didn't have slot machines in it.
Yeah.
And so it was not really a tourist trap, but a lot of tourists did wind up, getting trapped in there. Anyway,
so when you left there, you went to, you did a big concert at the Longshoremen's Hall, right?
Yeah, we came down. We played a gig at the Community Theater, and I think we might have played at the Matrix. And, then we did the first Family Dog Dance, which was at Longshoremen's Hall.
So that was the beginning of the Family Dog.
That was with
Chet Helms.
That was before Chet Helms was involved in it. It was Luria Castell and Alton Kelly and Jack Toll, and who was the other one? I'm trying to think of her name. I'm blanking out here. Senior moment. Ellen Harmon. The four of them, they were the family dog at that point in time, and so it was. The bill was the Charlatans, Jefferson Airplane. Who else was on it? There was the Marbles, who were out of Berkeley, and that had some people that I had known from in Berkeley in that group, and they later morphed into a band called Loading Zone.
Oh, I remember them.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the other band on the bill. There was another band on the bill. But anyway, so all these people showed up, all dressed far out and everything, and we were like pretty surprised because we thought, just us and our friends were the only ones that, did that. And the only advertising we really had was mainly the posters.
Yeah.
And it was a pretty underground thing. And they later did another concert with Love and Spoonful and the Charlatans. And then they did one with, the Mothers of Invention.
Oh, wow.
And that was kind of a interesting thing. I met Blank Zapp. I came into the place for the sound check. and the Mothers of Adventure were just finishing up their sound check, and I walked up on the stage. I had my Gretchen the case in one hand and my little Ampeg reverb rocket, amplifier in the other, and I set them down there, and Frank turns around and looks at me and says, "Don't you have an amplifier?" Hit up my reverb rock, and he just shook his head and he looked at me like I was a pitiful little bug, and he said, "Use my twin." Turned on his heel and walked off, So I used the twin reverb, and then I realized, this is the amp I need. I need one of these.
Okay,
so in 1960,
how did Chet Helms end up with the Avalon and that stuff?
Well, Chet became involved in it at one point. It was kind of, the family dog was kind of struggling there for a while, and at one point the Charlatans got involved in being part of the family dog, mainly George Hunter. So it was mainly George Hunter and Lurie Castell. They threw a gig at the California Hall, and that's the one where there's a picture of us on the top there. There's the Charlatans and our little logo in the picture, and then below that it says Jefferson Airplane, and there's this biplane flying out of the poster, it looked like, and that was a George Hunter creation, mainly George Hunter creation, and that was a very successful gig. There a lot of people came to that one, and so they threw another one. It was Charlatans and the Electric Train, and they did, that didn't draw so well. So at that point, I think Chet came in and he became involved in it, and because it was kind of starting to stumble and fall, and he had got a hold of the Fillmore Auditorium. He would rent the Fillmore Auditorium to throw shows. Well, Bill Graham.
So he was there before Bill?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He was the one that kind of discovered the Fillmore. And Bill was involved with the Mean Troupe at that time.
Yeah, he was
and
the
he
manager or something of the Mean Troupe.
For them. So he and Chet kind of got together, and he threw this show there to, benefiting the Mean Troupe, or Mime Troupe, or whatever you call it. Anyway, so all of a sudden, Bill got interested in promoting shows there. So they were doing alternate weekends. Chet would do one weekend, and Bill would do another. Anyway, they had a big falling out. And Chet found the Avalon Ballroom, which was a way better venue anyway. So that's how things started at the Avalon. Avalon was just way better acoustically, and it was set up with the stage in the corner, so you could have, walls of light show, which was like a 180-degree, panoramic light show. And unlike Bill, Chet didn't use stage lighting. It was just light show lit the stage. So that put the light show really on the map. And that place was just magical.
So Chet was more organic, and he was like one of the family, where Bill was more like the promoter. Let's get the money.
Yeah, Bill was like a micromanager, real hard-edged kind of guy,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
New York City, kind of, he didn't understand why he needed to have a light show, and, how come I got to pay these guys, blah, 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 and he was just pretty square, actually.
Yeah,
and
I know. Oh, did you know Janis? Did you know Janis? Michael?
What?
Did you know Janis Joplin?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I knew
Tell us about her, because everyone's interested in her.
What?
Did you play with her? Did you know her? Tell us about her.
I first met her at the coffee hour, as a matter of fact.
Oh, really? Cool.
Yeah, before she was in Big Brother. And I think Chet had brought her to town, and anyway, she didn't hang around town too long. But she went back to Port Arthur, and at one point Chet was managing Big Brother, and they were pretty unfocused. They had a, very psychedelic sort of a sound, and very avant-garde, a lot of, basically what you could call sort of semi-organized noise. And they had done the year after we played the Red Dog, they went up and played there. So when they came back, Chet said, "Oh, you should try out Janis." So he brought Janis up, and and things meshed with them, and so that's how that combination was born. So she joined the Big Brother and the Holding Company. And
how did you start playing with the Flamin'Groovies?
Thank you.
Well, I had met them because they were part of the second wave of San Francisco bands. They were a year or so behind us, and they were younger guys, and they'd been playing. And I had met them at gigs. We played on the same bill with them a lot, and so it was in 1976. And I had my band Loose Gravel since 1969 or 70. And we've been playing, in San Francisco. And I think in all that whole 7-year period, we only got one review. And that was Joel Selvin, and it was a rave review. It was great, great review. But, here we were playing like 3 nights a week all over the place, and it's like nobody even noticed us or something, from the press. And so Cyril had I think he had just fired James Farrell, the guitar player, who he had got on my recommendation. I had been, kind of mentoring him and tutoring him and teaching him finger picking and slide guitar and all that. And so, Cyril fired him because he didn't do his homework. He was supposed to come back to the next rehearsal knowing these tunes, and he didn't. So Cyril canned him, and they were supposed to go on tour in Europe in 2 weeks.
And Roy Loney had already left the group.
Yeah, Loney had left the group, and he got Chris Wilson had been playing with my group. He had been singing with us, and he was like 17 when he came into Loose Gravel. He was just so Cyril just sort of glommed onto him, and so he joined Flamin'Groovies, probably because he wanted to live like as he put it, he wanted to live like a human being, and he could live in Cyril's house, and and all this stuff. So he had joined Flamin'Groovies. So anyway, so Cyril calls me up, and he says, "You're the only guy I know that could do this. In 2 weeks we're supposed to go on tour, and I need the guitar player." And I said, "Well, I'll do it on one condition." And he says, "What's that?" I said, "Chris has to play guitar. He can't just sing. He's got to play guitar too, because he's too good a guitar player not to be playing." So then I wound up, 2 weeks later, we're going on tour. So that's how that. 82, maybe 83.
So anyhow, you're going to be playing in Berkeley, aren't you? In Berkeley this week?
Yep, that's next Saturday.
Tell us about where's it at?
What that is? It's on Shattuck Avenue. It's on Shattuck, just north of Ashby. At the end of the next block, if you were coming up Ashby from the freeway and made a left, it would be on the left side near the end of the block. It's easy to find Art House Gallery and Cultural Center.
Okay, what date? What date and time?
What?
What's the date and the time?
The date is July 20th, next Saturday, and the doors open at 7. Music starts at 8, and I'm going to start with an acoustic set, or mostly acoustic set, and do some Americana stuff and some of my roots in music. And then we're going to morph into some blues near the end of the set. And then the second set will be an electric set. And so I'm going to have...
So who's going to be playing with you?
Well, Jamie Weber on bass, my regular bass player, and Gary Belay on guitar. And they told us, oh, you can't have a drummer. And I thought, well, gee, that's weird, you know. I don't know. They had a noise problem apparently. So I asked, well, can I have a snare drum with brushes? And oh yeah, that was okay. So I got Chuck Bernstein. Chuck Bernstein is he played years ago with Lisa Kindred, Ascension, and he's played with a bunch of groups over the years, and his latest thing is he's got a jazz trio called Monk's Music, and they play the music of Thelonious Monk, and they're pretty much critically acclaimed. They're considered the best interpreters of Monk's music that are playing around now, and that's Thelonious Monk's son has said that about him too.
Well, it was nice talking to you, Michael. I think we're about out of time, so everyone got to go see Michael play this coming Saturday.
Yes,
I'm
please,
sorry?
people. Yes, we are about out of time, Michael. We actually are, and I wanted
to.
Okay,
well, anyway,
yes.
Saturday, and be there early. Get your tickets, because I have a feeling it's going to sell out. So I will have DVDs of the band available for sale too there at the gig.
And you can always find Michael on Facebook. Just look for Michael Wilhelm. Yes. He's right there, and all.
And then my website.
Right
my website is mike-wilhelm.com. That's my official website.
Good.
So mike-wilhelm.com. Okay, everyone, check it out on the internet. Also, please check out Michael Wilhelm on Facebook. And please, if you're out in the Berkeley area, go check out the show on July 20th. It's going to be a blast, and it's going to be awesome. Girl George, thank you for an awesome afternoon. And Michael, oh, what a pleasure it is to know your story and have you aboard on board GPR. I'm very, very blessed to hear your story. It's an awesome experience to have you on the show. Okay, this is Sophia. This is the Gypsy Poet of Gypsy Poet Radio saying, check out Michael Wilhelm. Girl George, you're always a blast.
Pleasure.
You're always wonderful. Yes, absolutely. And I'm signing off saying adios now.
Ciao.
Hello, all you good time friends of mine. Hello, all you good time friends of mine. When I had $1, you treated me so kind. It's where'd you go and only had a dime? Going where the water tastes like wine. Going where I can wear you off my mind. If I come home from Atlanta and I have no place to go, make me down and pile it on your floor. 'Cause these blues are everywhere I see. Said these blues are everywhere I see. And the blues are all around me, they're everywhere I see. Say there ain't nobody ever had the blues like me. That's why I'm going where the climate, you know, it's got to suit my clothes. Going where I hope nobody knows. And if I come home from Atlanta and I have no place to go, make me down and pile it on your floor. Won't you make me down and pile it on your floor? Make me a pile it on your floor. Make it soft and make it low. So your regular man, he won't know, but make me down and pile it, baby, on your floor. Look out. ragtime. Oh, do me right guitar. Don't sound half bad, better do it again. It's hello, all you good time friends of mine. Hello, all you good time friends of mine. When I had $1, you treated me just fine.